Good morning. The first session is on teen marriage, divorce, addiction, and the strength of our inner power. The lead speaker is Ms. Neena Malhotra from India. Madam, you go ahead with it.
Good morning. Sorry, I have to know your name first.
Beth Ann.
Beth Ann.
Beth Ann, yes.
Welcome, Beth Ann. I'm sorry, it's just the two of us, and I'm really not well this morning. I have a throat that just won't speak anymore. But we will, I think it's a great idea to have an interactive session and talk to each other about the subject that is on the table right now. So, of course, the first thing is that this is one of those subjects that I don't think one should be discussing first thing in the morning. teen marriage, divorce, you know, drug abuse, and finally the strength of your mind, which gives more meaning to the whole thing. But I guess this is so rampant these days that the subject that we're going to be talking about. So go ahead if you have any questions to kickstart. It'll be great. Otherwise, let me ask you. You are from the U.S. and I'm very familiar with that country. I love that country too. So, what is your take on teen marriage, which is a big concern in that country right now?
Yeah, yes.
This is not on.
Hello? Oh, it's on, okay.
Okay.
Well, I was a teenage mother as well. I mean, I'm teenage mom, and then pretty much was forced to get married. It was the first thing. It wasn't like, do you like the guy? Are you happy with the guy? It was like, okay, you go get married. And I felt like for me in my country, well, at least for us anyway, that a lot of us are more concerned with, you know, capturing the guy, capturing the man, rather than promoting our own education and getting our own training at my age. I mean, my baby's now 30 years old,
Oh,
so
wow.
but at the time it was,
Yeah.
you know, I was raised to cook and clean, and I was expected to have babies, and wasn't at all thought to go on and have any kind of an education. So um, the strength of the mind and the inner strength, that's the part that really intrigued me about this session, because I think part of the problems with addiction and the teen marriages has been more about trying to fill something that's missing within inside, and we tend to go quite quickly into what everybody else is expecting us to do, or
Right.
when we can't fulfill all these expectations, people are turning to addictions, and not finding that inner self and that inner being. And even though sometimes, well, we know things we should be doing certain
Differently.
things,
Yes, yes.
but the inner strength of us and our inner knowing of ourselves, and that strength of our mind is not there, because we're still going to try and get acceptance from outside of us. So that's my thoughts, was just how to
go
create more inner strength and
and
inner
to
mind.
move on.
Move
To
on
move on.
beyond those
Did you
circumstances.
did you face any barriers in terms of your relationship with your family or your or the society? Because
Yeah.
we're talking about several years ago now.
Yes, in fact, actually, the young man who was the father of my son,
Right.
he was not part of the religion that I was part of, and so I was coached from the leaders in my religion to place my child up for adoption.
Okay.
They wanted me to give my son away, and said that because my mother wasn't around, and that because this young boy wasn't in the religion, that I should give my son to a family who was within that religion. And of course I didn't, and married the young man. And so I was ostracized from my religion. And even though it seemed like I was cared for very much by that religion throughout my whole childhood and upbringing, when that particular situation happened, I was no longer accepted in that religion anymore as being a good part of that religion because
Yeah,
the father wasn't part of that religion.
because the son-in-law, you mean?
Yes.
Your husband.
Yes.
Your husband.
Yes.
Okay. But your family came from what religion?
From the Mormon religion.
Okay.
Yeah, from the Mormon
All
religion.
right, yes. And they are kind of conservative, aren't they?
Very conservative.
conservative,
Especially when it
yes.
comes to women's education and
Correct,
knowledge
yes,
and
yes.
their abilities. So
Right.
I was never really encouraged to find who I was. I was more just encouraged to take care of everybody
Yes,
else.
it was all about them. It was
Exactly.
all about them, that's true. So how did you meet this young man?
In high school,
Okay,
we met
okay,
each other.
yeah.
So
And how long were you with him?
maybe like 3.5 years.
Within that period of time, you had your son.
Yes, had my son, and then because all of a sudden I was treated completely different by my religion and the people, then it really got me questioning that particular religion. And anyway, I left that religion and just kind of went on my own, did my own thing.
Okay, wow. And you educated your son all by yourself, worked?
Yes, well,
you-
we ended up getting a divorce
Yeah.
quite quickly. I still got divorced quite quickly from this young man because he was the same way. Even though he wasn't part of that religion, he just wanted me to take care of him. And
That's true. Well, see, when we go back in those times also, we have to look at all the barriers that there existed and what one could do to overcome those barriers and what would create that acceptability for the people. So, good morning. So, so that's, and these are exactly the steps that we came about was, teen marriages were when people were really not ready for it because you did not understand the institution of marriage and how to grow up with it, the consequences of getting married so young. Uh, but then, was there any rehabilitation sessions that you went through with it to tell you that is that the right thing to be done? Is that the right way to go? Did you go through any of that?
no, no, no. There really was never an emphasis on me ever getting to know myself. It was more about how to take care of everybody else, even as a young adult, and afterwards. It was just my own. I had to go out and find it for myself. Was that I knew what I was being taught wasn't working because I wasn't happy, and I knew I needed to find out more about who I was in order to create relationships that brought happiness into into my life. So I had to go and search, and I put myself through college and found different things that to really get to know who I
Yeah, but
am.
then what about your monetary support? I mean, it takes a lot to bring up a child.
At the time,
Yeah.
I was on state assistance, so yeah,
Okay,
so
wow.
so I was on state assistance, and they assisted me through housing, food, clothing. I mean, just everything.
My God.
But
Yeah.
I, then through my own growth and my own getting to know myself, started my own business and have my own home, and became successful
that-
that way.
Right. But that must have needed a lot of self-determination, to grow up with a little baby, to work, to earn, to support both yourself and the child, to put the child to school, to stand up for yourself and not just look after your family, but fight the world
Yeah, very
Yeah,
much, because
yeah.
I was doing it completely
all yourself.
right. So it did
Yes.
take a lot of self-determination, but I still think, that inner strength or that inner confidence is something that women deserve to have much more, because it tends to be more of a needy type
Yes,
of
it is,
energy
yes.
that a lot of women, I see in a lot of women, as far as needing that attention or needing some.
Right. But especially in those times, see, things have changed a lot over the years. At that time, especially in your Mormon community, this was like a no-no. I still remember that. I happened to be in the US at that time, at that point of time. And the men were so conservative, so were the women, and there were so many barriers in between the relationships. So I'm really happy to know that you fought through all of this, and because you know the consequences of a relationship like this normally end up everybody suffering through it. The mother suffers, the child suffers, the families suffer, but it is basically your own determination, your own will, your own strength that made you stand up and go through life. And you're here today, sitting and attending a conference like this today. So tell me a little about yourself. What were your parents? What did you do? What schooling?
Well, my parents, I really didn't have
Siblings?
good support. Well, I'm the oldest of 8 children, so I think that was one reason I had so much determination is because
You
I
were,
had
sorry, how many?
eight children, and so my mother pretty much passed on the mother responsibilities
To
to
me.
me.
You were
at-
the oldest?
Yes, at a
Okay.
very young age. She,
Okay.
so I was responsible for that way. But then my parents didn't stay together they divorced when I was in high school, and my mother left, and there was the 8 of us that stayed with my father.
Gee.
But and then, but my father wasn't really a very good man of good character either, and he had his own demons. But um, it, interesting enough, actually, one of the reasons why I left, I married this young man when I was in high school, and then after I had graduated high school, I wanted to go to college and got accepted to a college out there for a degree, and he left me. He left me with my son and left and said that if I quit college, if I dropped out of school, then he would come back. And so
Oh.
I dropped
Okay.
out of school. I didn't go to college, and he came back, and this is I was like 19, I guess. And then I was like, this is not going to work because he wanted to.
Yeah.
He did the white glove test to make sure everything was clean in the house, and
Gee. Not easy.
I'm like, I'm not
easy
going to
at
live
all,
like this to make sure I'm clean properly
Absolutely.
every day. So I decided to leave him, and I moved in with a friend of mine, and um, then attended university. Started with a secondary college first, and then went to
Okay.
the university, and I'm an accountant now. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
and
Hats off to you. My God. Yeah.
so I'm an accountant and a holistic financial mentor. So now I bring
Okay.
together money and spirituality, and really my passion is to assist women in finding their own value and in their
Definitely.
voice. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
work I do.
And tell me, did your parents were happy? They were happy together with themselves.
No, not at all. In
Yeah.
fact, my mother wanted to go to engineering school when she was
Uh-huh.
a young girl, but they wouldn't let her. Again, her father said she couldn't go to engineering